What's going on, everybody? This is GWReborn for a video today focusing on identifying gold weapons, unidentified gold weapons, and kind of a topic of discussion maybe that I'm not the most experienced with, but I need to make a video on it. A lot of people ask me this question, as well as it's a good money maker if you really look into it the right way. So it's really critical for anybody that is investing in farming. When it comes to farming any form of item, you always get unit golds, the unidentified gold weapons that go towards a wisdom title. So your wisdom title, if you actually press H, you can identify, hey, you need to get up to, if I remember right, I think it was 10,000 in order for you to max the title. And a lot of people actually buy unit golds. It's usually like a platinum a piece or 7 for an ecto, or I mean like 800 gold. It really just depends on who you're trading with in Cameron, but there's a lot of different options for that. And I just wanted to make a video on this. Give me some comments in the comment section, some feedback on what you guys say is best to do when it comes to unit golds, because I'm not the best at this, but I'm making a video because I get a lot of people that ask about it. There it is. Excuse me. So I'm at actually almost 13,000 identified. And so the max title is actually 10,000, so I was actually correct. So, alright, so let's go ahead and get started. So what I have here to identify is, I have around 30 unit golds right now. And I'm going to be going through them and kind of giving an explanation on how I would actually justify if I'm going to identify it or sell it. And there's only 3 key things that I focus on when it comes to this. And it goes down to the requirement. Is it non-inscribed or is it inscribed? And what is the actual skin? So the skin value, the actual requirement, and is it old school or inscribed? So in order for this to really work out, is items that you've already obtained, not that you've bought. What I mean by that is, if you got an item in factions or prophecies that drop from a chest or a boss, or just in general, you know that's going to be an old school item. So you have a better rare objective chance of getting a more valuable weapon with an old school item versus a non-old school item, so an inscribable weapon. But of course, it also goes into certain inscribable weapons have certain mods that can be worth a lot of platinum or ectos too. But that's a topic maybe you guys can say in the comment section, hey, this is what I look into. Anyway, so I got about 30 items here I'm going to go through. I don't know if any of these are actually inscribed or old school, besides a few of them I can mention as I go through them. And this is just all different types of items throughout Guild Wars that I've obtained the past few weeks, and then of course a few of them I might have bought, and this is just a few, because majority of them I normally identify just to salvage for items, so crafting material, because I'm a crafting material person, especially for consumables, so I personally look into the consumables. But on a cost scale, I think it's actually more beneficial to sell your unit golds if they aren't worth identifying. So you can work on your wisdom title if that's what you're looking for, but be smart with it. As you work on the title, you could make more money by actually selling certain unit golds that people will pay for a title skill, a title point, versus what it's actually worth. So let me show you an example right here. Perfect example. Battle Axe. This one, I'm going to go ahead and identify just for entertainment. It was an old school weapon. It was a Q12, so I know most people aren't going to be buying high required axes, especially in this skin. So I instantly say, okay, this item is only going to give me about 300, 400 gold. It says 396 gold. But if I was to sell this unit gold, I would have done over double profit for that. So 200% profit increase instantly just by selling this unit gold instead of identifying it. So I just lost around 400 or 500 gold right there by identifying it. Unless I got a really nice mod on it, which it's an old school weapon and it was a high require, so there was no need for me to have it because it was a high require. It was an old school weapon with a non-valuable skin. And there was really no need for me to identify. I would have rather been better to sell that. So on to the next one. Truncheon, a Q12. I'm not going to identify it. I would rather sell that one. Next one. Straw Effigy, Q12. I'm going to sell. The Celestial Hammer, I already identified. Sorry, I should have not done that. But let's just assume that this one's not identified. It's a Q9. I knew it was an old school. I actually would rather identify it than I would sell it, because it's a nice skin. Celestial is a popular skin. It's a Q9, and it would be worth more to sell to a player than it would for me to identify, especially with a certain mod. So this one is a 15 above 50, so you know that's a perfect skin mod for Q9. So this hammer, to the right person, I could probably get up to 25 ectos for, or even more. It's really a bargain depending on the collector. Some guy might say it's merch food, another guy might say, hey, I'll add this to my collection. Not many people have Celestial Hammers at Q9 with 15 above 50, which is a really popular old school mod. So you never know. I may get 50 platinum for it, 5 ecto, 10, 25, whatever. You can name your price with some of these old schools. Alright, next one. So this one's Q13 Airy Rod. Really popular common skin, so I'm going to say that one needs to be just sold. Because it's a Q13, it's a non-desirable skin, and it's not going to be really worth more on the input scale than it is on the output, so I can sell for more than I'll get in out of it, unless it was a inscribable, which most likely not. Alright, Golden Talons, I would rather sell those. If it was a Q9, I would probably identify them and see what kind of mods I get out of it, and maybe sell it for 5 platinum or more, depending on how the result was, because it was a Q9. But being Q10 to 13, most of them that are non-rare skins, most likely would rather sell as a unit gold. Wayward Wands, Soul Reaping I know is inscribable. If it was a Soul Reaping wand, or the Wayward Wand was a Q9, I would identify it, but being Q11, I'm going to sell it. So going into the shields, shields is a very particular topic that a lot of people know that are worth a lot of money, especially dual modded shields. This one in particular is old school. It may be, it may not. So most of the time I like to identify shields just because I like to gamble when it comes to old school dual mod shields because of the value of them. Regardless if they're Q9 through 13, it's worth identifying because it's actually going to give you some benefit. But me, assuming this one was inscribed, not inscribed, but it was actually inscribed, showed up. I just actually lost out on this one. So this shield value, to identify it, I identified it, and now I know I just lost money, but depending on the mods when it comes to shields that are inscribed. So I have a plus 10 versus fire shield mod here. I can easily sell that for at least an ecto or two to the right spire, or maybe more, so I easily just made money on that shield by identifying it. Let's just assume it was an old school shield, and it had those mods. A 44 while enchanted, 10 versus damage, non-inscribed, it doesn't say the inscription, then I could easily say that shield is almost a perfect modded, even if it was a Q10. I could probably easily flip that for maybe a 20-25 ecto value shield. And of course, that's just a random variance price that I listed on there. It could be less or more. But if it was a perfect shield, I could have made even 75 ecto or even more. That's where your gamble is in play with these shields. So shields is a really more valuable input that you get output out of it than input. So input was selling in unit gold, you're only going to get the unit gold value, but output, let's say you identify 50 of the old school shields, and 5 of those are worth more than, let's say, an ecto or 5 ecto or whatever, unless there's mods that you sell out of it, then you actually gain more than you will lose with unit golding, identifying the actual gold shields. So shields is a really good one to identify, especially old schools. Next one. Staff, Q13, I would sell that one. Wands, most of the time I want to sell wands and offhands, but sometimes people want to get the mods out of them, so it's your decision on that. Some of those mods and inscriptions can be worth 20k, 30k. I've even seen, I think, up to 15 ectos for certain ones on there people buy, but it's all discretion of the player. I personally would rather sell those, or savage them if you identify them and you don't want them. Alright, Q11 staff, I would sell. Q9 death, I would rather identify because it's Q9. I like to identify Q9s majority of the time just because you never know what you get out of it. And that's mainly for old schools. Inscribables, I also would identify depending on what the skin was or the what weapon group. But that one personally I would have identified, so I probably could get more than the 800 gold out of that one. Alright, next one. Offhand, or no, offhand. This is a dagger. So the split chakrams, or however those pronounce, I'm just going to leave that one to sell. Zodiac is a popular skin. But just in general, Q10, I'm not even going to identify it or sell it because I wouldn't be able to sell those for more at a good time period. I've sold Q10 inscribable daggers for Zodiacs before for 3 ecto or 1 ecto, etc., depending on who I sell to make money out of it, but the time is what the effort takes into that. So is it really worth selling that at that rate when it's not a high valued interest? Next one. These daggers, same thing, Q10, but it's not a good skin, so I would leave that one unidentified. It's all based on preference here too. This is why I'm looking for you guys in the comment section to give feedback. So wand Q9, I would rather identify it because bam, there you go, perfect example. So if that don't think twice, that's an inscription I could sell more than a unit gold price. Same goes for the actual memory. Sorry, just got a brain fart. On the mod for the wand. So that one, if that was 20%, I could sell that as well. So there you go. That's an easy example for wands that where you could identify them or not. Q9s I like to identify majority of the time with wands too, because I could sell them back, especially if you mod them up for heroes. People like to buy 20/20 sets for wands and offhands. Alright, straw effigies. A lot of people savage these for plant fibers, but currently I would rather I'd sell them because 800 gold versus, let's say, 500 gold worth of plant fibers. I think I'll get a better win selling it for gold, as an example. Alright, next one. Skull Shield. It's a Q11. Not a really popular skin. I know it's inscribable. I'm not even going to identify it. If it was old school, I would identify it. But knowing the Skull Shield is inscribable, it's not going to be worth my time to identify. This bow, same thing with this, all of these. So Q10, Q12, Q13. So all of these top row items are Q10 to 13. I would rather sell all of those. None of those are a valuable common. It's a more common skin, not valuable enough in interest for people to buy. So it'd be better to sell that for that unit gold value of 800 gold to 1 platinum. Or I think it's 7 for an ecto. It just depends on the price at the time of year. Alright, Cephisax, Q9. I would rather identify that one. I'm not going to identify it in this video, but I would personally rather identify it because it's a Q9. It's a decent skin, especially if it was an old school. This is a collector's item back before Guild Wars Factions and Camadon or Nightfall came out, where everybody was investing in these Cephisaxes. So if it was an old school item and I knew about it, I would identify it immediately to get a luck in a +5, 15 above 50, 15 -5, etc. But if it was inscribable, I probably would sell it. Alright, Bone Staff Q9. I'm going to go ahead and gamble on this one. See if it's inscribable. Oh, it's old school. Perfect example. I'm glad this one came up. So I got a Q9, old school, non-inscribed staff. Death Magic is a popular one everybody buys for their Necro as well as their heroes. And it's 2010. So 20/10 is what it's called. The half casting 10%. And then your half skill recharge 20%. That's what 2010 means. 20/10. That's what that actually means if anybody sees it. 10% half skill recharge. So that's a perfect old school Q9 modded. The only thing that would make that more valuable is if it was 20% death magic. So skill recharge 20% on death magic spells. So it's really rare to get those. But I could easily sell this staff for more than the unit gold value. So that was definitely a gain with identifying. Next one. This flame artifact I would rather sell because it's a Q13. Plus, I'm not really into this skin. I don't know anybody that would actually be interested unless it was like a 20/20 set for your fire magic hero or player. But in general, it'd be worth better value to sell. But, of course, user preference. Everybody has their own opinion. Let me know in the comments what y'all think on these so far. And that was some of them that I went through. Last one, Straw Effigy Q9. It's spawning, so I know it's inscribable. It isn't going to be worth my time, even if it was old school. I personally sell these all the time because I would rather get the gold value than the savaging value I get out of it. And there's not really going to be a gain out of it unless I get a nice inscribable mod. Nobody buys spawning. So it's really attribute-based, skin-based, your requirement, and really value. So there's a lot of different variables in that. But I hope I helped some of you guys with this. Let me know in the comments. Give me some constructive criticism. I'm not the best at this, but I get a lot of questions on this with money-making tips and videos to make. So this is definitely a money-making guide that can really make you a lot of money. It might not seem like much when it adds up, but let's say you get an average of 4 or 5 golds per hour of PvE. So whether you're doing farming or in farming, you actually get a lot more. Some people get up to like 20 to 30 golds an hour. And if you do the simple math, let's say you sell a platinum per gold unit. So that's an easy 20 to 30k per hour, which can lead to, depending on your ecto value, anywhere from 3 to 4 ecto up to 15 ectos an hour just on the gold unit selling. And that's not including your other consumables and items, merch items, things that are non-gold related. So hope I help you guys. This is a really good money making tip to get you guys rich to buy whatever y'all are interested in. Focusing on one item at a time, gold unit identifies. And I'll see you on the next one.